Today we are doing our sermon from The Fundamentals of Unicult, which is the book that I wrote about Unicult. You can get this book on Unicult Supply Co. It has amazing wisdom that is channeled from space. Aliens gave me the information that is in this book. I highly recommend it. It has my story in it, and it has a lot of very good advice. I think anybody who has bought this book will tell you that it was very beneficial to their life. It's simple and it's short, and you will really appreciate it. I opened right to the page we're doing. I didn't even have a bookmark. We're talking today from page 73. If you don't have any money, we still love you. Don't worry. We're not like, we don't care. You're able to get these teachings. Go to YouTube. You can see all the past cam churches on the Unicult YouTube, and we've actually gone through this whole book so far. You'll have a lot of content to catch up on. Even if you can't read or you don't like to read, you can go to YouTube and you can watch it. But if you like books, I like books, you can read this book. Okay, today we're talking about cyclical patterns of thinking. Why does this matter? Why is this important? In Unicult, thank you, Elaine. In Unicult, we are coming at this reality. We're coming at our lives with the conception of trying to find joy. The reason why we're trying to find joy is because we realize there's really no other point to life other than to live a life of joy. Why are we here? Why are you here? Are you here just to work? Are you here just to produce content? Are you here just to produce labor? Are you here just to produce for your boss? Are you here just to make money for the 1%? Are you here just to have kids? Are you here just to be in love? What are you here for? If you get down to the root of the reason why you're here, the reason why you want to spend your time alive, it's because you want to find joy. Joy is our internal compass, which pulls us toward the light. Joy is our internal compass that allows us to find out who we really are, what we really want, and what the truth of reality is. Joy is an indicator of success. So as you move forward toward joy, as you move forward into the future for your heart, and as we progress, I'll talk about progress for a second. I think it's a very interesting topic, and I've had some very interesting understandings of it. In your life, I assume that you feel like in the last few years, you've learned a lot. We've all been through very interesting, difficult things, and we've all learned a lot the last couple of years, especially in the last year. This is called progress. We are actually always progressing. When you learn something, you never forget it. You might repeat your same mistakes, sure, but it's different every time. As we move toward the light, which is the only direction, everyone is always moving toward the light, even if they're evil, even if they're bad, they are theoretically learning and growing in a way that allows them to have a deeper understanding and a deeper wisdom in the future. There is only one direction. It is toward the light. We are all moving towards it, and that is progress. How do we know? There's streams of progress that are faster and more comfortable than other streams of progress. Some streams of progress are actually very slow and very painful and not that fun. And those streams of progress are including fear and pain and harm. If you have fear or pain, or you're harming yourself or others, you're on a slower path of progress to the point where you're almost stagnating, to the point where you're just putting your own self in a world of pain. If you're on an easier path of progress, you are entering into the stream of truth, and you're allowing yourself to be who you really are. You're allowing yourself to do the things you really want to do. And those things inside your heart, your authentic self, your authentic heart, is your indicator, your internal compass that allows you to be on the stream of truth, the stream of progress, which is most comfortable, which is the fastest, which is the best. Everybody agrees. It's easy to talk about these things and say, everybody likes to be happy. But when we try to understand why does everybody like to be happy, we can come to these deeper understandings. You might not have ever thought, why does everyone like to be happy? Don't worry, I'm here. I think way too much about everything. I'm here to think about it for you. Why do we like to be happy? Because it's an indicator of our success. It's our own internal compass. We are like moths to the flame of Uni or God or Source or whatever you imagine to be your higher self. In Unicult, we don't say you have to pray to the spirit of Uni. Sometimes I pray to God. Sometimes I pray to the spirit of Uni. Sometimes I pray to the universe. Sometimes I pray to aliens. Sometimes I pray to my higher self. You can pray to whoever you want. The concept of something higher is better than the concept of something lower. Spend your time using your consciousness to contemplate higher energies. Doesn't matter what they are. They can be angels, God, Uni, aliens, your higher self, mythical beings. It doesn't matter. As long as you spend your time using your consciousness to think of something higher, you will be moving in that direction in an easier way. Okay, why is this all important? When we're in Unicult, we're talking about our religion, we're talking about making our lives better, we're talking about healing the world, we're talking about changing the world, we're talking about overthrowing the global structure of capitalist patriarchy that is enslaving all of us. We have to start inside our own consciousness. We have to free our minds. The way that we free our minds is by following our compass of joy toward the light, following our compass of joy into our highest reality, which is Unitopia, which is our own personal heaven, which is peace on earth, which is a reality where everyone has their basic needs met. Today, we're talking about a certain type of detrimental energy called cyclical patterns of thinking. I think we have all experienced cyclical patterns of thinking. If you've ever had anxiety, fear, or worry about something, you've probably spent your time cycling out on that thought, spinning out, thinking a bunch about what's going to happen, how's it going to happen, how are we going to do this, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. I get stuck in this loop all the time. It is a feedback loop. Our brains are like computers in many ways. And in this case, we have the ability to cling on to a worry. There's a problem that needs to be solved, and we spin out on it, and we churn on it. Our ability to have cyclical patterns of thinking makes sense, and I'm going to talk about why it makes sense. I actually lost my phone. I had notes, but we're going to just do our best. I have no idea where it went. I looked everywhere. It's in the fourth dimension, I think. So when we're talking about the brain's ability to solve problems, we're going to break it down into ego and higher self. We'll get there. But right now, let's just talk about why it happens. What does it mean to have cyclical patterns of thinking? If you were abused as a child or treated poorly, or you took on some negative things about, your self-esteem, you probably have some cyclical negative thoughts about yourself that are quite mean. You might think, oh, I'm terrible, I'm bad, I'm the worst person. When I had depression, my cyclical thoughts were, I don't want to be alive, I hate this reality, I want to die, I hate this life, everything sucks, I suck, this is all terrible, I want to die, nobody even seems to understand what's going on, and this world is terrible. I had those thoughts running as a loop inside my brain. Why is it important to monitor our thoughts? Not only do our thoughts give rise to our joy, or our lack thereof, but they also shape our reality. If you think, oh, I'm just so ugly, nobody likes me, are you going to talk to the cute person in your class? Or are you going to just shrink away and run away from them? But if you're in a place that is vibrating at a higher vibration, if you're in a place of confidence, of self-love, and you're like, I know I deserve amazing love, you're going to talk to whoever you want. And you're going to be able to protect yourself better, and you're going to be able to have your self-worth and your self-value. Your concepts of yourself, your concepts of the world, all of these things matter immensely. Every thought matters. It's dictating your own joy. It's dictating your own reality. So the best thing that you can do is figure out how to monitor your thoughts, how to listen to them, and how to change them to be aligned with higher patterns of thinking. Our brains operate on patterns of thought. We have things that we see, that we internalize, that we believe based on our previous experiences of things. We actually get to choose how we interpret things. We get to choose how we perceive things. If we choose to perceive things in a negative reality, okay, wait. This is a distinction I want to note. Are you choosing to perceive things in a negative reality if they're really negative? I think anyone can look around Earth right now and say, wow, things are really negative. The reality is that yes, things are very negative. The reality is that yes, there's a lot of harm and abuse happening on this planet on many, many, many different levels. The reality is that you are depressed, anxious, upset, whatever, for very good reason. This world is not built for sensitive people. This world is not built for us to be connected to our hearts. And for a sensitive person who is connected to their heart, you will be suffering. But you don't have to keep suffering. In no way am I blaming you for feeling negative about the world. In no way am I blaming you for your cyclical patterns of thinking. In no way am I blaming you for your depression or your anxiety. Those are appropriate responses to the world as it stands. But what we can do is change it. And the way that we change the world is by changing ourselves. And the way that we change ourselves is by monitoring our thoughts and figuring out which thoughts are serving us versus which thoughts are not serving us. So, page 73, if you have the book. The act of thinking thoughts changes the physical structure of your brain. This is the concept of neuroplasticity. It used to be believed that our brains only changed and developed in our youth, but as we have grown to understand the brain more, science has proved quite obviously that the brain has the ability to change no matter what your age is. Each thought you think sends electricity through your brain. Familiar thoughts have preformed pathways that the thoughts can easily travel along. New thoughts have to create new channels, like rivers, to allow the electricity to flow. If you consider a time when you learned a new skill, a new instrument, or a language, you will know the frustration of forming these new pathways. Our brain is slow to change. This is because, historically, life was slow to change. Okay, so think about this. If you talk to your great-grandpa's life was probably very similar to his grandpa's life. And his grandpa's life was probably very similar to his grandpa's life. We only recently entered into a time of change. I read this book about time travel, and it said that concepts of time travel didn't ever exist, because why would you ever want to go to a different time? Because all time seemed the same. Life kept going on just the same as it had for thousands of years. This is important to understand because it highlights the fact that our brain structure has our biology, our genetics, all of our systems of understanding the world are built in a very slow, methodical way. The way that the hardware that we're using for our brains was developed and solidified over the course of thousands of years, where there was very little change happening, where society sort of happened in waves of innovation happened very slowly, and lifestyles were basically the same over and over and over again. The thing about this means that we are now in a time of great change, and it's super fast, and we have all these ideas and all this stuff happening and all this technology and all this information coming at us and all this news. I mean, there is significant news happening every single day. That did not used to be the case even 2 years, well, maybe before the last president was not the case. But now we have information coming at a rapid pace. We have change happening. We have lifestyle changes. We have technological changes. We have all this information coming at us. But our brains are like, what is going on? What is even going on? Because our brains are used to the same thing happening. So it's very difficult sometimes to change the cyclical patterns of thought that our brains have because of the hardware, which is rooted in things being the same for hundreds of years. This slow speed, along with the frustration of new thoughts, makes venturing into a new reality quite difficult. Because our brains have these deep rivers of thought for things we are familiar with, new thoughts feel frustrating, plastic, or fake. When we say that belief makes real, know that this concept is an important one. By consistently believing a thought, new or old, we create a deep river of thought. A consistent thought river is deep and comfortable. Thoughts gravitate toward it. They feel welcoming and familiar. When you have had a cynical worldview or a negative perspective, the deepest thought rivers in your brain are harmful. When you are attempting to heal from these harmful ways of thinking, your new thoughts will be attempting to forge new ground and create new rivers of thought. But if they're near old, deep negative ones, you will simply fall back into them. This is what we call cyclical patterns of thinking. So this idea is just the fact that you're like, okay, I really want to think positively. I really want to have a better perception of my future. How can I do this? Well, I'll just think positively. But if you're depressed, thinking positively is going to feel fake and plastic. It's going to feel like bullshit garbage. I am the case study for this. I did this with my brain. I did this with my life. My patterns of thought were extremely negative. And I took the time to rewire my brain to think positive thoughts and to use things like affirmations, mantras, prayers, journaling, mirror affirmations, looking in the mirror and saying these positive things. And I was able to create new patterns in my brain of belief about the world. New patterns of brain about belief about myself. New patterns in my brain about positivity, about hope, about the future. It's really easy to start this process and to feel like it's too hard and it's overwhelming and it sucks. And to fall back into those old rivers of thought. And you're like, well, obviously the world is terrible. Obviously there's no higher power. Obviously the world is chaos. Obviously everything sucks. Obviously I suck. Because you fell into that old river of thought, which has been programmed into you by this negative reality, by negative things your parents said to you, by negative things you've said to yourself, by negative things your friends have said to you, by negative things the TV has said to you, by negative things advertisers have said to you, etc., etc. You have to think a positive thought just as many times as you have thought a negative thought before they're even equal in your brain, before they even feel like they could potentially both be true. I said it last week and I'll say it again. I have found significant proof. There's a fairy in my eye. Can you get out of here? I have found significant proof for every single reality that I have had. I've had a lot of different realities. I believed a lot of different things. And everything that I believed, I found significant proof for. You get to choose what you believe. You get to choose what you believe. So, can we prove things? No. You can go along with what society believes. You can go along with what your friends and family believe, but that doesn't make it more true. There's a lot of things that we don't know what's going on. You can't prove anything. You can almost not prove anything. Believe what makes you happy to believe. Believe in the highest possible reality. Think those thoughts regularly and consistently so they have just as much weight as the other thoughts. Your belief makes real. Your belief makes reality. What you believe creates reality. Let me see if I can remember my notes that I had. Your cyclical patterns of thinking come from your brain's attempt to solve a problem. This is the ego using logic. This is a new thought I had. The ego thinks that logic is going to find an answer to problems. But in reality, logic can only get us so far. I love logic. The entirety of Unicult is a logical appeal to the ego. It's valuable. It's valid. Let's all pray for Nefertiti to stop barking. It worked. Thank you. Nefertiti. The neighbors probably are like, come on, Neff. All right, we're all praying for Nefertiti to stop barking. It's working. Okay, the ego wants to solve problems through cyclical patterns of thinking, through logic, through anxiety, through worrying. And what you do is spin back around and try to solve the problem, spin back around, try to solve the problem, but you're not actually solving it. You're just reinforcing the rut. When we're talking about the ego, we're talking about logic. We have to make the leap into the divine. We have to make the leap into the spirit of unity. We have to make the leap toward God. We have to make the leap toward faith. We have to let go of our ability to logically understand things, and we have to just trust that what we're going to be doing with our heart is as equally as important, if not more important, than what we've done with our mind. Cyclical patterns of thinking come from the ego. The ego is insane. The ego thinks it can solve problems with logic, but really at the root of every problem is a spiritual malady. At the root of every single problem is an emotion. How do you solve an emotion? You have to feel it. You have to feel it fully. And you have to allow for it to exist. And then you have to trust the spirit of uni to guide your life in a way that is going to be beneficial to you. You have to let go of the ego. You have to let go of your cyclical patterns of thinking. So we're talking, a lot of this stuff comes down to addiction and how we cling to stuff. And we have to understand that if you have things that are running in your brain that are cycling and cycling and cycling, it's because you value it. It's because you're expecting it to give you a result. It's giving you some form of comfort or safety or understanding about the world or validation that you can let go of in order to get something better. But before we let go of something, we have to give homage to it. We have to understand why it was in our life in the first place. We have to say, thank you for trying to solve this problem. Thank you for trying to solve this problem for me. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to believe in a higher reality through spirituality, and I'm going to let go of my old patterns of thought. Let's talk about how you can change it, because I know that this is a really tough battle. I know that when you're down in the dumps, when everything around you seems like it fucking sucks, when you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you're worried, when you can just open your phone and point at 1,000 news stories about how the world is ending, you can be stuck in that fear, you can be stuck in that pain. But you don't have to be. There's a lot of really amazing teachers who have come before me who have really good ideas. Let me grab one book here. I actually don't even think this is the book. It's not. But it looks like this. You can't see it on here because it's green. The I Am Saint Germain books. There's one called, I don't remember what it's called, but the first one is by Godfrey Ray King. You can read these books if you want. The I Am Saint Germain Press, you can Google it. There's a bunch of books. The first 3 are really cool. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to, that's fine. I'm going to tell you the main thing that is the takeaway from these books. They have a couple different techniques for getting rid of cyclical patterns of thinking, for getting rid of negativity. They call it discordant energy. Any discordant energy in your life, any discordant energy in your mind, any discordant energy in your home, any discordant energy in your body, in your house, in your relationships. All of the discordant energy in your consciousness can be eradicated, according to these people, and I have found great truth in it, by simply saying, no, stop. You've got your thoughts that are spinning out of control, and you just loudly proclaim no. What this does is it sends a reverberation out from your place in the universe, and it sends it through your consciousness, and you're telling yourself, you're telling your own psyche, you're telling the universe, you're telling reality that you no longer want this negative reality in your life. The firm no allows for you to start moving away from that reality and into something higher. You have to absolutely put your foot down and say, stop this negative thinking. Stop this discordant energy from happening in my body, from happening in my relationships. Stop this discordant energy. I'm done with it. That firm stance is what's going to allow you to move into a higher reality. From there, you use, this is still according to the I Am Saint Germain Foundation, you use a violet flame, the concept of a violet flame. You can imagine the color of my hair. It's like a little bit pink, a little bit purple, like this section here. Imagine a violet flame consuming your body and consuming all the discordant energy and leaving behind only pure white, etheric, glowing, higher energy light. The violet flame, I use it every day to disintegrate all the discordant energies in my body. This technique has changed my life. I have technological reasons why I think this is real, why I think this has value, and why I think this has purpose. Violet is the highest color that our eyes can see electromagnetically. This is, when we're talking about the electromagnetic spectrum, we're talking about octaves of light. The visible light spectrum is an octave of light. And as we perceive something higher, as we focus our concentration on the highest thing that we can see, the highest thing that we can think, we are creating Unitopia because we're bringing in the highest energy possible. Mantras and affirmations are the next key for you to use. Come up with the mantras and affirmations should be read every single day. You should come up with a paragraph that is purely positive, that roots you in the reality that you want to be in, and you should read it every day. For me, I say something like, I have a bunch of them right now because I really am feeling the power of these affirmations. The one that I did all night last night was, I let God's miracles come to me. That puts me at peace. It makes it so that I don't have to worry, I don't have to work, I don't have to try so hard to create the world. I let the spirit of Uni's miracles come to me. However you think of something higher, you don't have to use the word God. I grew up Christian, so the word God still has a certain power to me. I use the spirit of Uni and I use God interchangeably. I think of them slightly different. I'm still working out my concepts of my higher power. I am a child of God. I am a child of Uni. I am a perfect channel of the spirit of Uni. That one really makes my whole body feel good. You can try saying these things. You can try thinking them. I started saying a couple years ago, I am a genius. I am a genius. I just started saying it. It's arrogant, maybe. Other people think it's arrogant. I was tired of thinking negative thoughts about my own consciousness. So I started saying, I am a genius. I'm a creative genius. I'm a conscious genius. I'm a genius. Call yourself a genius. I'm hot. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. Stop the negative attack on yourself. Have self-love. From there, you can start to also put this energy out into your world. I create everything I want to create. I accept the end of things. I let go of anything that doesn't serve me. I call to the highest light. Whatever you need, the antidote is in language. You can take whatever your pain is and you can transform it into the positive opposite result. I had this thought the other day, like, I feel like someone's stealing my intellectual property. I had this thought that someone could have access to my consciousness or to my Google Drive and they were stealing my intellectual property. And that's an ego fear. It might even be true. I can't prove it to be true. I can't prove it to be false. Either way, it doesn't matter. Because what I can do is I can take the opposite spiritual thought, the highest spiritual energy that I can muster, and I can say, we are all one. If somebody takes my work and spreads it around to more people than I'm capable of spreading it around to, then that's good. That means I can take a break. I don't have to work so hard. That is actually them helping me because I'm not doing this for my own glory. I'm doing this because I want this information to get out there. It's a little bit criminal for someone to steal my intellectual property. I don't think that's authentic. I don't think it's truth if they're presenting it as their own, if it's mine, if it's something that I created. But from the highest reality, it's beautiful. It's all beautiful from the highest reality. So this is what I'm talking about. If you can see the highest reality and say, I am in service to the light, like that would be my mantra. That would be my affirmation. I am in service to the light, and however this information comes through me is divine. However this information gets to earth is divine. I love and accept everyone around me. I love and accept everyone who admires me and my work enough to steal it. You know? Anything that's happening in your life. Set your boundaries, keep your body safe, keep your energy field safe. Don't let people attack your energy field. Set your boundaries. And then from that place of safety, use affirmations to change your reality, to change your perspective, to show the truth of the universe, which is that life is perfection. Only perfection exists. Yes, fear and pain and death and abuse and stealing and everything exist. They do. And they're not ideal. And we should not do them, and we should not tolerate them. But at the same time, they're still part of perfection. They are still part of perfection. Only perfection exists. On the higher realms, karma is real. On the higher realms, we all get what we deserve. On the higher realms, we all deserve the glory of Uni to be filling our bodies at every minute because we are all perfect children of Uni. I hope this makes sense. If you can root yourself in a positive reality, you won't be doing it quickly and you won't be doing it easily because it's going to feel fake. It's going to feel weird. You're going to feel crazy. No one around you is going to validate it. Everyone's going to tell you that you're crazy. Everyone's going to try to hinder your progress. And you have to be insane in the social way in which you cut yourself off from external influence that isn't serving you, and you make the leap past logic into the divine. As you make the leap past logic into the divine, you can then root yourself in your energy that makes you feel whole, that makes you feel complete, that makes you feel safe in the universe, that makes you feel like you are a lovable, perfect entity. As you do that, you will be changing your brain. You will be changing the structure inside your consciousness. You'll be changing the rivers of thought to be more aligned with your positive reality. How come people who are born into families where their parents made a lot of money, how come they always seem to make a lot of money too? How come people who are born into poor families don't? The first thing, obviously, is privilege and connection. But the second thing is expectation of reality. If you're born and your parents are like, you're going to make $100K a year because I made $100K a year and your brother makes $100K a year, you're going to make $100K a year. You're going to just simply assume that that's what you're going to do. And you're going to find people and experiences that validate that reality because that is the reality that you were born into. On the other side, if you're born into an abusive situation where everyone is unhealthy and attacking each other all the time, and there's no love and there's no support and there's no money and there's nothing. I'm not saying that just because you have money you're supporting or anything. I'm just saying on this other side, you have to change your consciousness to get out of that reality. Because just because you were born into a reality, just because your parents, just because everyone around you believes in a reality, doesn't make it true. It feels real because of your brain. It feels real because of your expectations of reality. It feels real because of your childhood. It feels real because of your cyclical patterns of thought. If you let go of your cyclical patterns of thinking and you say, no, I don't want these anymore, and you pray and you say, please help me. This is the next tip I have is pray. Pray to whoever, any higher entity. Please help me change my reality to one that benefits me. Please help me be happy. Please help me see the world in a way that is safe, loving, trusting. Please help me be happy, joyous, and free. Why wouldn't you want to be happy, joyous, and free? Why wouldn't you want to be happy, joyous, and free? You can be. Join Unicult. Thank you. Spirit of Uni, we call you here into this beautiful chat room on a Sunday. We are asking for every single person who is watching this video to send $10 to us to get the commune that we deserve. We are also asking every single person who is watching to hang up posters and stickers in their town, which they can get on Unicult Supply Co. We are praying for some guerrilla marketing tactics to really blow Unicult up, to get all kinds of new wonderful members into our... Thank you, Sarah. Yes, after this prayer. We are calling you here to bless each and every one of us. Thank you to create the world that they want to be in. We are praying for every person to easily heal their cyclical patterns of thought and turn them from negative into positive, turn them from detrimental into beneficial. We are calling you to bless each and every one of us. Uni bless. Oh, what a wonderful, wonderful time. Okay, your homework this week for Unicult practice is to identify 3 negative thoughts, 3 cyclical patterns of thinking that you have about the world, and then identify the opposite thought that is rooted in the highest possible spiritual vibration. And from there, using those 3 negative thoughts that you have turned into 3 positive thoughts, create a paragraph of affirmations for February that you're going to read every single day when you wake up or when you go to bed or whatever. That's your homework. Artistically, you know what I usually do? Is I draw myself. I do a self-portrait of myself, and this helps. I put all of my negative thoughts in the drawing. So I draw myself, and then I put all my negative thoughts around my head, and I draw myself very sad, and then I draw myself happy, and I draw all the positive thoughts in my aura field. I have actually several drawings like this. I rely on this heavily, and it helps me just visualize the way that the thoughts are affecting me in a conscious way. Thank you all for joining me so much. Come back next week at the same time. We'll see you for Camp Church. Remember, if you're on the Discord, if you're an official member of Unicult through Unicult Supply Co., you can join Uni Brunch, which is also a new member mixer. So if you're interested in saying hello to your cult, this is a great place. It's voice and video chat if you would like. And otherwise, we'll see you all over the internet. Uni bless!